As the start of the Premier League season draws closer, there's plenty of talk around Liverpool's centre-back selection for next season, for who, let's be honest, will be Virgil van Dijk's partner. The Reds consistently rotated their centre-back pairing last season, typically opting for either Joel Matip or IBRAHIMA Konate, with Matip typically playing the league matches and Konate featuring both domestic cup wins and the Champions League final run. Of course, Van Dijk is guaranteed to start, as he is quite simply the best centre-back in the world and one of the all-time Premier League greats. But who is statistically the strongest player to partner him at Liverpool? Let's take a look at the numbers of Liverpool's 5 first-team centre-halves to see how they numerically rank. For this video, once again, we'll be using just statistics from last season's Premier League alone, not other competitions, and the Championship for Nat Phillips. Up first, we have defensive duels and each defender's success ratio when challenging for the ball. Joe Gomez is considerably lower in terms of duel success compared to others on this list, whereas Virgil van Dijk is a standout winner when it comes to winning challenges. The reason why Joe Gomez may be found wanting when it comes to duels is because most of his minutes last season came at right back rather than centre back, meaning he faces more duels as wingers are simply far more likely to take on fullbacks than strikers are to duel centre backs for the ball. Therefore, Gomez is also considerably clear in this list in terms of number of duels per match. What is also interesting is that Virgil takes part in fewer duels per match than his typical partners of Konate and Matip, as the latter tend to step up and attack defensive positions, whilst the Dutchman holds off and sweeps up any following danger. When it comes to winning the ball in the air, the Reds' defenders are all very solid in aerial duels, with the players also coincidentally being ranked in order of height for this category, though Virgil van Dijk's imperious abilities in the air are clear for all to see. Due to Liverpool's strength in aerial battles, opposition sides don't tend to play the ball long or in the air against them. Hence, the next category of aerial duels per 90 having relatively low numbers among the Reds' defenders, though Nat, aka Naldini Phillips, the man who would head a brick, had plenty of challenges whilst on loan at Bournemouth last season. The next category is one you could perhaps flip the other way and see a lower number as a positive, as in the words of the great Paolo Maldini, a defender only has to make a tackle once they have made a mistake. That said, for this video, I've made the decision to rank players from most to least tackles in that order, hence why Virgil van Dijk can perhaps find himself unlucky to rank last in this category, simply due to the fact he rarely makes mistakes and has to dive in for tackles. Once again, Joe Gomez with his contributions at fullback is found diving into tackles or having to make recovery tackles on wingers who beat him, whereas Matip and Konate both step up and dive in with the safety of Van Dijk covering behind. Moving on to interceptions, it's another case of the same story, with Van Dijk's deep position not allowing for a high number of interceptions, whilst all the other centre-back options can be found stealing possession in both defensive areas, but sometimes even stepping into midfield to break up opposition play. When it comes to blocks made per 90 minutes, IBRAHIMA Konate demonstrates his ability to act as a brick wall in front of the Liverpool goal, with almost double the amount of blocks compared to his counterparts. Last season, Liverpool kept 21 clean sheets, and Virgil van Dijk was a part of every single one of them, with Joel Matip also featuring for an impressive 17 of those. Konate is definitely hard done by in this category, simply due to the fact he didn't play that much in the league, or anywhere near as much as the Cameroonian. In terms of passing, the Reds' defenders are all more than competent and confident on the ball, as playing out from the back in Jurgen Klopp's ideology is absolutely vital. Not to mention all 5 players possessing the ability to split opposition lines and play an attack-initiating pass where required. This importance of passing is also demonstrated by the numbers of passes made by each centre-half per 90 minutes, with the numbers that are higher than some midfielders at the club, hence the importance of high passing accuracy among the defenders. Well, that completes the statistical comparisons, so let's find out what is statistically Liverpool's strongest defensive pairing. In 5th place, we have Joe Gomez. Putting previous seasons spent on the sidelines aside, last season was arguably Joe Gomez's most difficult at Liverpool, with the young English defender struggling to feature following recovery from long-term injury. He only featured in 8 Premier League matches, with most of those appearances from the bench. There were rumours of a transfer away from Anfield in pursuit of a starting place at fellow Premier League teams such as Aston Villa and Newcastle, but this doubt has now been put to bed by Gomez signing a new contract extension until 2027. While still at the relatively young age of 25, there's plenty of time for the Englishman to re-cement his place at the heart of Jurgen's defence. In fourth, perhaps lower than expected, is IBRAHIMA KONATE. Ibu is further down this list, and this can likely be blamed on the fact that he didn't feature that much in the Premier League last season, which is where all these statistics are sourced from. It was a remarkable first season for the 22-year-old in Europe and in the cup competitions, not to mention his goal-scoring ability from set pieces being invaluable. As a defender, Ibu is certainly keeping Liverpool's defensive future in safe hands. Third place, and a surprise entry above Gomez and Konate, is Nat Phillips. Nat didn't feature in the Premier League last season during his first half of the season with Liverpool, so his stats for Bournemouth in their promotion-winning championship season have been used instead. As to be expected, Nat is a defensive brick wall. With an incredible aerial ability and resolute tackling ability, it would be no surprise to see him earn a Premier League transfer. That said, his stats clearly back up his ability, and he is a very good option for the Reds to have in reserve in defence during a hectic schedule for the upcoming season. In second place, and shockingly not the statistically best defender at the club, is Virgil van Dijk. Now, objectively speaking, we're not all stupid. Virgil is not only the best defender at Liverpool, but he's probably the best in the world. In terms of his success ratios and defensive and passing accuracies, Virgil is head and shoulders clear of his teammates. But the nature of this statistical comparison is also based on defensive contributions, which Van Dijk makes less of than his teammates. There are numerous reasons for this. As previously mentioned, he does tend to be Liverpool's last man in defence of sorts and sweep behind his partner. This centre-back partner will be the one who's most likely to attack the ball and step up to the opposition. Plus, these players are more likely to make mistakes leading to tackles and interceptions, something which is rare for the imperious Van Dijk. The main point of this video was to identify which of his centre-back partners form the strongest pair with the Dutchman and who is the statistically strongest in that position. Well, in at first place, joining Virgil in this strongest defence, is Joel Matip. Joel is criminally underrated outside Anfield, with Liverpool fans appreciating his ability for years. He's finally earned wider recognition last season, even winning a Premier League Player of the Month award. A man-mountain who's immovable in the air, in duels, and also a dab hand when dribbling and progressing possession with defence-splitting passes, Matip is undoubtedly in the best form of his career. He and Van Dijk formed a formidable partnership last season, and based on this list, the Cameroonian is the best man for the job to protect Alisson Becker's goal for the upcoming Premier League season.